The war in the Ukraine has been going on for 2 years now. And I think the biggest lesson from the war is the danger of mission creep. Because let's not forget why Russia first invaded and what their plan was. Now, luckily, Russia on Russia Today said what they were invading for. Now, you may say that Russia Today would be lying about why Russia invaded. Now, yes, I do generally believe that Russia does have propaganda and stuff. But they mentioned something on the first day and first day only. Minsk free. Now, of course, I think it's important to watch all sides because, of course, they mentioned Minsk free. Something which was only for the first day. What was it? Well, it revealed what Russia... It pretty much says 2 years ago, and because, don't know any archive of it, but long story short, and of course Russia wouldn't give out all the details and stuff, but long story short is it's pretty much what Russia wanted, and which is Ukraine would just give up the entire Donbass to Donetsk and Lugansk and recognize Ukrainian that Crimea and Donbass was Russia. Demilitarize. They would implement a federal system that never join NATO again and stuff. Pretty much stuff. So this was Russia's war goals, pretty much. And I say it's Russia's war goals because I'm sure they sent this over to Ukraine, and Russia was expecting Ukraine to just accept this, and they only gave Ukraine 24 hours. Now, what Russia should have done is they should have given a 48-hour deadline saying, accept these deals or we will invade. Because Russia was going for the element of surprise. They didn't do that, and as such, it was doomed and would never work, and was pointless, and was retarded, and was probably just some ploy by some general to start the war. And of course, Putin, who falls for every NATO trap, every single time, fell for this NATO trap. Yeah, just stupid, pretty much. NATO's outsmart Putin. So, now that we've established what Russia's war goals are and how they never involved Zaporizhzhia and Kherson, but what happened was the forces out of Crimea did a really good job and were successful in the south, but Russia failed in the north due to logistics and stuff. So, of course, Russia said they were shifting to the Donbass, and I remember this. Russia said that they were leaving the north as a goodwill gesture, not because of negotiations or bullshit. At the time, there was no indications that it was for negotiations. They said they were leaving the north as a goodwill gesture, and they would refocus in the Donbass. Took way too long to refocus in the Donbass. I remember, and it was for ages, nothing was happening. It pulled out and shit. Okay. And then the war was going on and stuff. Oh yeah, that's right. And then, of course, the Kharkov offensive, which was massively successful, and Russia lost heaps of territory in that. But of course, there was a more important Kherson offensive, which started before that. So Russia was focusing on the Kherson offensive. Ukraine took heavy losses and stuff. And then out of nowhere, the Kherson offensive started. Russia had no soldiers there and lost heaps of territory because the Russian government was trying to do a limited war, so they didn't mobilize and shit. And they lost heaps of territory and stuff. And then because of logistics reasons and stuff, they decided to abandon the Kherson. And I remember like how Patrick Lancaster did all these interviews and shit in Kherson with people. And of course, Russia says this was after they had formally incorporated. So they abandoned one of their state capitals. And I just like say, I think the moment the war was doomed was when Russia incorporated Kherson and Zaporizhia. Because it was after the Kharkov offensive, and Russia lost heaps of territory. So because Putin's a legalistic idiot, he's like, let's do conscription. But because this isn't a war and stuff, we can't send them to Ukraine. So if we declare Zaporizhia and Kherson, then they're still in Russia. Brilliant idea. So he absorbs them. Of course, before this there was like a Tariva number plate or whatnot, so that had already been played, like incorporating stuff, but like Zaporizhia. But besides the point. So after incorporating them, of course they abandoned Kherson. They probably called that a goodwill gesture. Oh yeah, and the Snake Island campaign, where Russia successfully defended Snake Island, but then the Ukrainians got one of their artillery pieces, put it on like nearest landmass to Snake Island, and started bombarding Snake Island with artillery. And then the Russians were forced to leave because it was being bombarded with land artillery and wasn't sustainable. Also, there was a helicopter which I'm pretty sure I claim wasn't shot down because of an editing. But what I suspect is that there was an editing cut, but it was done so like make it look more damaging and stuff. So of course I suspect like the crew got out, and then that's when the explosion happened. But to make it look like more heaps of people died, they didn't do that, of course. And then same thing happened recently. So that there was Russia had a video of like Ukrainians leaving Avdiivka, and what happened was, and in the video there's a massive column of Ukrainian soldiers leaving on foot, and then it fades into another clip of a fab explosion. Now here's the thing, I don't know the maths, but it would take a while for fabs to like land and stuff. So Ukraine suffered lots of casualties, but not as much as the Russians make it out to be and stuff. And that's a good example of propaganda. Actually, I think that is evidence of lower not that high casualties and stuff. Because, relatively speaking, because if it had hit the infantry, they wouldn't. If there was a direct hit on the infantry, they would have been able to show like the direct hit on infantry and stuff. I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so then after refocusing on the Donbass, you got the Severodonetsk battle. Epic battle. Severodonetsk like apartment blocks fell surprisingly fast. And of course you got this chance. Also you got the pesky battle, which was a major battle over a tiny town. Like heaps of people died. Famously brutal battle. I'd say most impressive battle of the war. Of course you got the battle for the moon and stuff. But I think the most important thing is that Russia has completely forgotten why they even started this war. And I think that's a bit unfortunate. Because this war doesn't need to be going on still. It could be over now. Of course, Ukraine should have started negotiations after Kherson and Kharkov were massive successes. And then their offensive, Zaporizhia offensive, completely failed, which improved Russian confidence. But I think and of course the Battle of Bakhmut, where Prigozhin was the hero, he heroically won, even though Prigozhin is a war criminal. And then he was refused, and because of like the March of fucking Justice or whatever it was called, was because of like shitty MOD shit and the MOD sabotaging Wagner. So he did the March of Justice and thing. Of course, the Chechens stayed loyal to Putin, and apparently they were blocking bridges at Moscow and stuff, which is interesting. And then, of course, Prigozhin was murdered by Putin and stuff. I think the moral story is that what we're constantly seeing is like good generals be punished and bad generals be promoted. Like, for example, the general in charge of Ugledar got a promotion, an extremely bloody failed offensive which killed Russia's best. Meanwhile, the Battle of Bakhmut, an extremely bloody offensive which was a Russian victory, and Russia lost heaps of its worst. And, of course, what happened? One got promoted, the other got killed. And I wish Prigozhin had gone to Moscow. I wish. But, well, he got a deal, and of course, Putin, learning from NATO, abandoned the deal. And I think that's why Russia will lose. Honestly, I don't like Putin. At the start of the war, I had a positive opinion, but this war has changed my opinion on Putin. He's crap. He's fallen for every NATO trap. It's like Iran, how they're not actually enemies of Israel and America and only say that for like clout and shit. Putin isn't the enemy of NATO and Russia. Of course, and he murdered Navalny. Yeah. Of course, here's the thing. I don't change my standards. So, because of things, people I like. Politicians I like to. Politicians I like change their things. I don't change my standards. I just don't like them anymore. I wish more people would like that. Yeah, so this is just a long video, long conversation, because this is like a special occasion. This is like 2 years of war. 2 years of pointless war. Russia's lost like 20% of its tanks and infantry fighting vehicles in this war, so yeah, that's interesting. The F-16, which should have been in the air by now, considering in 2021, like, they gave $100 million for air pilot training and shit. That's not happening. Even watching it. And in America, the Republicans are being retarded. Mike Johnson's a retard. Not giving weapons to Ukraine, and Ukraine's bad for not being thankful for its weapons. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I'd say in 2021. I'd say in 2021, that was a big year. I think there needs to be stadiums 2021. You know? Pretty interesting stuff. The year of failed negotiations, because this war in Ukraine is just a failed negotiation technique. I mean, Russia had this plan, Minsk III, which it wanted to force on Ukraine, and of course invaded, and now they've completely forgotten about why they invaded in the first place. You know, it's really pathetic. It's actually pathetic. Why did... Like, they've forgotten the reason why they even invaded in the first place. Like, mission creep, there's invading a country, which is bad, and there's mission creep, which is worse in my opinion. Like, the problem isn't that war start, it's that they go on for too long. Like, for example, this is another Iran-Iraq war. I'm calling it now. This war will go on for years, for like 8 years. Ukraine had a similar population to Iran. Iran suffered like, I don't know, like 300,000 dead. Ukraine would have suffered, I don't know, like around 100,000 dead, less than 100,000 dead in 2 years. So Ukraine can last for at least 6 years. So this war will be going on for another 4 years, of course, unless there's regime change in Russia. And I think that is the Ukrainian strategy. Just wait long enough. Because they saw how long Iran lasted. They probably could have lasted longer if we had to keep fighting and consuming more materials. If this war goes on for 6 years, then Russia would have lost half of its tank fleet and infantry fighter vehicle and mobile plane. And so pretty much Russia will be weaker because it's expended all its weapons on war and stuff. Of course, the West, who set this trap for Putin to practically deliberately fall, considering that surely he would have learnt from all the traps in the past. They've learnt massive problems with their technique. They will be stronger after this. They'll know they need more, and they need to remilitarize and stuff. Good for them. For example, shell factories. They'll need shell factories and stuff. So they've learned a lot of good weapons. And when the F-16 comes in and gets heaps of shot down and stuff, despite the pilots presumably being NATO skilled standards and stuff, they'll know that there's problems in their system and stuff. So West has learnt a lot. Russia's worse for wear, and of course this will be a disaster. And of course that's not even Russia's biggest failing, which is in Armenia. Like, they got involved in Syria to block because Qatar wanted to build a pipeline to Europe or whatnot. I'm pretty sure that's why Russia got involved, to protect their gas industry. And now Azerbaijan is just destroying Armenia, which means Azerbaijan gas pipe. So Russia should be involved in that conflict to stop Azerbaijani gas pipelines, but they're not, because Russia is retarded. Well, Putin's a retard. They need to bring in a monarch put in Russia. So yeah, that's about all. The Russian Empire needs to return. Putin needs to go, and he should have got involved in Armenia, invaded Azerbaijan. So yeah, that's all. Screw Russia. I don't like Ukraine. I think they're going to NATO and stuff, and the quote-unquote Western values or whatnot, non-traditional values and stuff, and I think that's bad. Like, Zelensky legalized gay marriage, which is terrible, and stuff. Hopefully, like, the right-wingers do a coup or whatnot. I don't have much more to say, except NATO that America needs to pay their fair share, because the way the Americans act, they're giving all the weapons to Ukraine, and Europe's giving nothing. It's the complete and utter opposite of that. It's literally the complete opposite of that. This video is going very long, but it's a special occasion, 2 years of war, so I don't care if it's 20 minutes. That's like a feature, because it's like 2 years of war, lot to talk about and stuff. Like, I feel Russia's not going to capture the Donbass. I think any peace would require Zaporizhia and Kherson. I think this would be a good peace. Russia keeps the entire Donbass, and Crimea, but gives up Zaporizhia and Kherson. That's a good peace that would require Russia to give up its own sovereign territory, which is why I think giving up claiming Zaporizhia and Kherson was a terrible mistake. And I think that, do you know what? I'm going to consider that the point where this war became permanent. Yeah, that's when this war turned into a forever war. So yeah, don't have much more to say. Besides the fact that Russia should declare a total mobilization. I'm pretty sure that's what the Wagner March of Justice was for. Like, the Russian government is like fucking making like America's war in like Iraq and Afghanistan, where it's like contract soldiers not sending in conscripts and stuff. Which is like, did they remember what happened in Afghanistan? Mate, Ukraine is the Taliban and Russia is America, okay? And of course, the Taliban were in an even worse situation, okay? Because guess what? They weren't getting supplied advanced missiles and stuff. Imagine if Russia gave weapons and stuff like surface-to-air missiles to the Taliban and like Cornet and shit. America would have been fucked, but they're not. Oh well, Russia's terrible. Also, Russia's propaganda is complete and utter garbage. It's like they're siding with America, but what they should be trying to do is jam a wedge between America and Europe. While they who want Europe to be on Russia's side. So they don't think strategically, and what invading Ukraine has done is put Europe on America's side. Now, if they hadn't have invaded Ukraine, well then they would be in a better situation. Russia's goal, like for example, instead of invading Ukraine, what I would have done is put a fleet in Cuba, nuclear weapons in Cuba, and acted like, these situations like the Cuban Missile Crisis, we're gonna put missiles in Cuba and stuff. And maybe that would have worked, maybe it didn't, but Russia didn't try that. They should have, like, turned Cuba into and Venezuela into military powerhouses. But they didn't do that because Russia's retarded. Did I mention Russia's retarded? Yeah, and all doing Crimea, taking Crimea and the Donbass is remove a large segment of the pro-Russian voter base. So pretty much I think this is a strategic mistake. Oh well. Did I mention the Russian government's retarded? So yeah, this is very much a rant. In fact, I'm going to put rant in the title because this is a rant. Yeah. So, Donald Trump retarded for murdering Qasem Soleimani. Should be extradited to fucking... Oh, and if Putin wanted to get rid of Prigozhin, he should have been fucking arrested. He should have, like, arrested Prigozhin for war crimes and stuff. But, of course, he's a KGB thug. So, yeah. He's an idiot who has fallen for every NATO trap. Did I mention Russia's retarded? What else do I have to say? Well, if I was Russian leader, I would have won this war by now. I would have ordered a full mobilization and, like, as such, have more manpower than Russia. Ukraine, extend the lines and force Ukraine to accept never joining NATO and giving up the Donbass and Crimea. But Russia, who always complains about how giving weapons to Ukraine is prolonging the war, is prolonging the war to NATO's benefit. Because did I mention Russia's retarded? And do I have anything else? Do you know what? That is all.